Discover the heartwarming moment a billionaire revealed his paralyzed daughter's unexpected dance performance. James Harrington, a self-made billionaire, stood in front of the magnificent Maplewood Community Hall, glimmering with fairy lights, his chest tight with a mix of pride and anxiety. Tonight was the gala, a chance to raise funds for disability advocacy. With a fortune earned through grit and determination, James had conquered the business world, but parenting had proven far more daunting. His heart ached as he thought of his daughter, Lily, once an effervescent light, now shrouded in silence after her tragic accident. For a year, they had navigated their shared grief in hesitant silence. James felt the weight of his failure. The day Lily's world shattered felt like an anchor dragging him deeper into despair, a night of broken bones and shattered dreams that pulled their family apart. The guilt gnawed at him. What could a billionaire like him truly offer when the most precious thing in his life, the joyful laughter of his daughter, had vanished? The gala seemed a fleeting chance to reach out, to remind her of the love that still thrummed between them. As the evening progressed, he mingled with locals, each story of resilience lifting his spirits. Inspired, he promised himself to not just support the cause, but to pave the way for their family's healing. "We can turn this around," he thought, his heart racing with hope. Then, he stumbled upon a truth he never saw coming. In a quiet moment, as he sifted through Lily's belongings, he uncovered a notebook hidden beneath her books. Scribbled across the pages were Danc's notations and illustrations. He realized she hadn't just been letting their tragedy consume her, she'd been secretly attending therapy, a glimmer of determination shining through her battles. Each note spoke of rhythm and grace, of a spirit refusing to be caged. Surrounded by echoes of her previous joy, a bittersweet pride surged within James. Could her passion for dance become the bridge to mend their fractured hearts? Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. As the gala began, the air buzzed with excitement. Laughter floated like melodies in the night. But for James, each laugh felt like a reminder of the laughter that once filled his home. The tense moments felt unbearable. What would it take to reach his daughter, to bridge the chasm of their silence? Just when the night felt hopeless, the lights dimmed and a hush settled. To the rapt audience's astonishment, Lily took the stage, her frame supported by sheer willpower. The spotlight draped her like a warm embrace. As the music swelled, she began to dance slowly at first, but then with a fire that ignited the room. Cheers erupted. The applause roared, washing over James as his heart swelled. There she was, his Lily, shining with a strength he never knew ran so deep. In that moment, as he reached for her, he grappled with uncertainty. Would this moment bring them together, or would it unearth the fears that still loomed in the shadows? As the crowd erupted in love and admiration, James stood on the edge of possibility, eager for a chance to reclaim the bond they had lost. As the final notes of the music faded into the background, the room erupted in cheers. James felt tears stinging at the corners of his eyes as he watched Lily circle the stage, her expression radiant, empowered. She was no longer just his little girl drawing laughter from him through childhood tales. She was a warrior, a beacon of hope. In that moment, he was filled with overwhelming emotions, pride washing over him like an ocean wave. But as the applause rang in his ears, doubt crept in. Would this be a turning point or just a fleeting moment? He closed his eyes for a moment, taking a deep breath. The past weighed heavily on him, the guilt of being unable to protect her, the regret of being too absorbed in work when she needed him the most. Yet here she was, resilient, reclaiming her dreams in front of a crowd. Lily took her final bow, her smile illuminated by the spotlight. The entire room stood, clapping, whistling. Expressions of pure joy encircled her. James couldn't move. Each clap wasn't just for Lily. It felt like they were clapping for every moment they had lost, for the long path they'd walked through grief together. Finally, the commotion began to fade. She made her way down from the stage, and they locked eyes. Time stood still. For a brief moment, they were lost in a universe that was just the two of them. No silence, just understanding and connection. "Dad," she exclaimed, breathless and radiant. "Did you see?" "I did, sweetheart." "You were incredible," he said, rushing to embrace her, holding her tightly. He could feel her warmth, the reality that they were still fighting together, still connected despite the trials. The embrace was everything he had longed for, a bridge built from the embers of hope ignited by her performance. "I've been practicing," she admitted shyly, looking down. "I wanted to surprise you. I didn't want you to see me just sitting." James felt a lump in his throat. "You surprised me in the best way. I never knew, Lily. How could I?" He stepped back, his hands still gripping her shoulders, searching for more words. "You've shown me you're stronger than I ever realized." "Thanks, Dad." Her face glowed from the praise, but her expression shifted. An unsaid question loomed. "What is it?" he asked gently. "Do you think I could? I mean, could we dance together again? Like we used to?" The vulnerability in her voice sent a shiver down James's spine. He could feel the weight of their lost moments pressing down upon them. "Of course," he responded, trying to keep his tone filled with confidence. "We'll make it happen together. I promise." But as he spoke, a gnawing anxiety settled in the pit of his stomach. Could he keep that promise? Would he be enough? The questions filled his mind, as he felt the weight of the world shift slightly in their favor. As the event began to wrap up, James realized there was still so much to navigate, not just for Lily, but for both of them. The path to healing wouldn't be easy, and there were static shadows of their past waiting just beyond the lights. Suddenly, as they stepped outside into the cool night, a slow, hopeful smile crept onto Lily's face. "So what's next, Dad?" "I want to keep dancing." The moon hung low, casting a silver glow over their world, and for the first time in a long time, James felt a flicker of optimism. "Next?" he murmured softly, contemplating the daunting journey ahead. "Next is an adventure, one we'll embrace together." But as they walked toward the car, a mysterious figure emerged in the distance, and a voice that chilled James's heart pierced the calm night air. "I hope you're ready for what is coming." A sense of foreboding gripped him. What challenge awaited them now, threatening to shake the fragile bond they were just beginning to rebuild? James's heart raced, a mixture of confusion and fear flooding his veins as he squinted into the shadows. The figure loomed closer, revealing an outline drenched in darkness, almost as if it had seeped from the very ground itself. The voice echoed again, now sharper and more urgent. "You should be worried. This isn't over." "Who are you?" he asked, trying to sound braver than he felt. Lily stepped closer to him, her small hand gripping his arm. He felt the warmth of her determination, the fierce spark that fueled her spirit. The figure stepped into the light. It was someone James recognized, an old acquaintance, someone from his past, who he thought he had left behind. Fiona, with her piercing gaze and an enigmatic smile, had always been one to stir trouble. "Fiona," James said, almost in disbelief. "What are you doing here?" "Surprise," she purred, a smirk playing on her lips, the kind of smirk that sent shivers down his spine. "I've been watching you and your daughter. You're both quite the spectacle tonight." "Get lost," James snapped, his protective instinct flaring up. The path they were on had been too challenging for someone like her to meddle in their healing. Fiona's laughter echoed, a sound that felt like ice on his skin. Oh, James. You don't get it, do you? I'm not here to ruin things. I'm here because I know things you don't yet understand. What do you mean? Lily interjected, shyness replaced by bravery. James squeezed her hand but couldn't find the words to answer. Fiona's gaze locked onto Lily, and James felt his stomach drop. Oh, darling, you have so much potential. But danger lurks in shadows, and there are people who want to silence your voice. James took a step forward instinctively, feeling the need to shield his daughter from this woman's venom. You don't know what you're talking about. We're moving forward, one step at a time. Step back, James. You might want to listen, Fiona replied, her tone shifting to something almost solemn. I wouldn't want anything to interfere with your little performances in the spotlight. Lily glanced up at him, her eyes wide and questioning. He wanted to reassure her that everything was okay, but the unease twisted in his gut, the words caught in his throat. Yes, right, Fiona. This isn't your business, James said, forcing confidence into his voice, even as doubt gnawed at him. Life as a stage, isn't it? And some roles come at a cost, she replied, but there was something in her tone now. A note of sincerity? Or was it a warning cloaked as concern? He couldn't tell. As she turned to leave, she paused and added, just remember, everything comes back around. Especially the past, and I'll be waiting. James felt the air grow colder as Fiona faded into the shadows once more, leaving behind an echoing silence heavy with threat. What was that all about, Dad? Lily asked, her voice barely above a whisper. James knelt to meet her gaze, trying to mask his worry with a reassuring smile. She is just someone I knew. Don't worry about her. What matters is your dance, your joy. But deep down, he felt the shadows closing in. What had Fiona meant? What past was she hinting at? The world seemed to shift around him, and he wasn't sure how to keep Lily safe without revealing too much. Lily took a breath and said, I'm not afraid. I want to keep dancing, no matter what. Her determination ignited warmth in his heart, though fear intertwined with that warmth, reminding him just how fragile their newfound bond felt. James stood tall, wrapping an arm around her as they began walking again. Then we will, Lily. We'll dance our way through anything. But as they reached the car, a chilling thought haunted him. Was their dance against an unyielding storm? The winds of the past threatening to tear them apart once more? Little did they know, another figure lurked nearby, keeping watch, their intentions unknown, waiting for the right moment to strike. Each step towards the car felt heavier than the last, as if the weight of uncertainty pushed down on James's shoulders. He glanced around, half expecting Fiona to reappear from the shadows. The cool night air wrapped around them like a thin veil, whispers of the past echoing in his mind. Lily began to twirl lightly, her arms outstretched with the essence of innocence and carefree spirit. Watching her, James felt a bittersweet pang in his heart. She had found her joy in dancing, a stark contrast to the storm of emotions he was battling. The vivid glow from the streetlights danced on her face, illuminating the bright eyes that were full of life and hope. Can we listen to music on the way home? She asked, breaking the silence. He nodded, grateful for the distraction. As they settled into the car, he fumbled with the radio. A soft melody filled the space, and Lily closed her eyes, letting the rhythm guide her thoughts. Just you and me, right, Dad? She said with a smile, her enthusiasm contagious. Always, Lily. You and me against the world, he replied, trying to hold on to that promise. Little did they know, the world outside their car was anything but peaceful. A sharp crack of thunder rolled through the night sky, startling James. He glanced at the dark horizon and felt a shiver creep down his spine. It wasn't just the storm. It was the lingering threat of Fiona's words hanging in the air like the gathering clouds. What if there truly were people out there who wanted to silence Lily? His mind spiraled. How could he protect her? What had Fiona seen? Dad? Lily's voice cut through his thoughts, breaking the trance. He turned to her, finding her eyes filled with concern. You're thinking too much. I can feel it. Just thinking about your next dance performance, he said, hoping to ease her worries. You're going to shine bright. Lily laughed softly, a sound like sunshine. Good. I want everyone to see me. James smiled, yet anxiety gnawed at him. What if someone did see her? As they wound through the streets, Lily hummed along to the music. He found himself tapping the steering wheel, lingering on the rhythm she created. But his thoughts kept drifting back to Fiona, to the warning, the threat, the shadows. What do we do if someone tries to stop me? Lily asked suddenly, her voice serious. James's heart sank. We stay together. No matter what. We'll face anything as a team. She nodded, her spirit unwavering. I'm not afraid. It's just music and dance. Just then, the radio sputtered, catching their attention. Static filled the car, before a bizarre voice cut through the noise. James, you need to listen carefully, they're closer than you think. A chill gripped him, and he almost swerved. What was that? Lily's eyes widened. Did someone just say your name? To our attention, some shadows just emerged. The voice continued, crackling with urgency. Be prepared. Dad, I don't like this, she whispered, clutching onto her seatbelt. Even her determined resolve faltered for a moment. Stay calm. I'll take care of it, he said, though he felt a tight knot of panic forming. He could feel the shadows inching closer, lingering, waiting for just the right moment. As they turned a corner, James caught a glimpse of a figure against the dim light, a woman, familiar but distant. His heart raced at the thought of Fiona. Had she sent this warning too? Dad, who is that? Lily asked softly. He swallowed hard. I don't know, sweetheart. But I won't let anything happen to you. The car slowed, tension thick in the air. They were no longer on a simple journey home. They were stepping into a web of uncertainty, with danger lurking just beyond the headlights. James parked the car and turned off the engine, looking at Lily. We need to be cautious from here on out. It seems we aren't alone anymore. But even as he spoke, he couldn't shake the feeling that the game was only just beginning and the stakes were higher than ever. The air felt electric as James turned to face Lily, her face a mix of curiosity and apprehension. She was still clutching her seatbelt, her tiny hands trembling slightly. James hated seeing her worried, and the weight of their situation pressed heavily on him. Let's all stay close, he said, his voice steady. We'll figure this out together. Remember, we're a team? Lily took a deep breath and nodded, her sparkle of innocence attempting to break through as she unlatched her seatbelt. They climbed out of the car, the rain beginning to fall gently around them, each drop echoing with an ominous reminder of the voice they had just heard. The dim streetlights illuminated the path ahead, and James scanned the surroundings. Shadows lurked, stretching and flickering with every gust of wind. He felt unnerved, his instincts heightened, as he urged Lily to stay right beside him. Do you remember the dance we practiced? She asked abruptly, her voice breaking the tension. Yes, he replied, managing a small smile. The one about the storm? You were amazing. Let us show them, she said, determination sparkling in her eyes, taking a step forward. Show who, sweetheart? James questioned hesitantly, raising an eyebrow. Anyone who tries to stop me. I can dance through anything, she declared, standing her ground. Her passion stirred a fire inside of him. But the urgency of their situation loomed large in his mind. His sweet Lily was facing a threat beyond her comprehension. How about we focus on getting home first? He gently suggested, trying to steer her away from danger. Okay, but one quick spin, Lily pleaded, her excitement palpable. James chuckled softly, a warm flash of affection overtaking his anxiety. All right, one spin, but then we go." Lily beamed at him, and before he could second-guess it, she twirled gracefully, her dress catching the light in a cascade of movement. For a beat, the world melted away, and it was just the two of them, free from the shadows looming outside their bubble of joy. Yet as she danced, the sereneness was interrupted by a loud crash nearby. James instinctively jerked around, muscles tense. The sound echoed in the night air, as if confirming the danger that was creeping ever closer. "Dad, what was that?" Lily's joyous expression shifted to one of fear, and she stumbled back to him. "Stay close," he ordered, gripping her hand tightly. He could feel it, a shift in the atmosphere, a break in their moment of laughter. The rush of adrenaline propelled him forward, directing them away from the noise. Every instinct urged him to protect her, to reach a safe place. They hastened their steps, the urgency almost palpable, each second dragging heavier than the next. Suddenly, a figure stepped from the shadows, emerging into the weak light of the street lamp. James's heart raced as recognition washed over him. It was Fiona, her face drawn tight with concern. "James, you shouldn't be out here. They're looking for you," she explained, urgency dripping from her words. James's breath caught. "What do you mean? Who is looking for us?" But before she could answer, a rustling from behind sent a chill deep into his bones. There was no denying it now. They were no longer alone. Lily squeezed his hand tighter, a reminder of innocence amidst the chaotic storm around them. James's mind raced. What kind of danger hid in those shadows? He took a step back, shielding Lily with his body. "We have to go." Fiona's eyes widened as the gravity of their peril settled over them like a heavy cloud. "You have to trust me," she urged, desperate. James hesitated, torn between his instinct to flee and the plea of an ally who seemed to know more than she had revealed. Could they trust her? Before he could decide, Lily tugged on his sleeve. "Dad, I'm scared." He looked down into the frightened eyes of his daughter and knew he had to make a choice, and fast.as an unfamiliar sound drew nearer. James felt the undeniable pull of the unknown. What choice would he make? "Stay close, Lily," he whispered, steeling himself for what lay ahead. Before he could catch his breath, the night echoed. Around them, the lines of danger closing in. James felt his heart race, caught between the shadows and the desperate plea from Fiona. The dim light painted her face with worried lines, and in that moment, everything narrowed down to him and Lily. He had to protect her. "Fiona, we're not safe here. We need to go." The rustling grew louder, branches snapping like thunder in the stillness of the night. He glanced over his shoulder, muscles tight, adrenaline coursing through him. "Follow me." Fiona turned on her heel, her urgency propelling her forward into the darkness. But James hesitated, his eyes locked on Lily. Her little face was scrunched up in fear, and he hated that she was feeling this way. "Come on, sweetheart," he said, kneeling so they were eye to eye. "Trust me. I won't let anything happen to you." She nodded, her small hand still gripping his. Together, they broke into a sprint, following Fiona as she navigated the narrow paths that twisted through the shadows. James kept one eye on the forest around them, scanning for a hint of movement. Fiona led them towards an old building they had passed many times on their drives through town, abandoned, yet familiar. "In here," she urged, pushing the door open. The door creaked loudly, the sound echoing ominously in the stillness. James winced but pushed his daughter ahead, stepping inside after her. The interior was dark, save for a few stray beams of moonlight peeking through broken windows. The air was thick with the musty scent of decay, and the walls seemed to whisper secrets. "Stay close," he whispered, as he turned to scan the area. Lily clasped her hands together, that familiar spark of defiance flickering back to life. "Are we safe now, Dad?" James hesitated. "I hope so. Just let me check." He moved through the small entry, eyes darting to every shadow. Fiona remained close, her features taut. "You don't know what is happening out there, James," she said, her voice low. "They're hunting for you." "What did you find out?" His mind raced, piecing together the fragmented emotions swirling like a storm inside him. "Things are more complicated than we thought." "It's about your work, about who you're getting involved with," she replied, glancing toward the door, as if expecting it to burst open. James clenched his jaw, frustration bubbling up. "This is about Lily. I can't let her, I know." Fiona interrupted, a mix of sympathy and urgency in her eyes. "But your decisions have consequences." Lily, lost in the gravity of their conversation, tugged at his sleeve again, her curiosity piquing. "What does that mean, Dad? Are we going to be okay?" James knelt down to meet her gaze. "We're going to be okay, Lily. I promise." Despite his assurance, uncertainty twisted in his gut. Suddenly, the sound of footsteps reverberated from outside, heavy and ominous. James's heart raced. He glanced toward the door again, feeling the palpable weight of fear gripping his chest. Fiona's expression turned serious, a fierce look igniting in her eyes. "We need to move. Now!" James nodded and helped Lily up, clutching her hand in his. He was laser-focused on her, all resolve and protection. If they were going to get through this, if he was to keep her safe, they needed to find a way out. "Where do we go?" he asked, adrenaline surging. "There's a basement, we can hide there," Fiona suggested, leading the way deeper into the building. As they moved further in, the air grew colder and thicker. Each step echoed, their hearts pounding like war drums in the quiet. "Dad," Lily squeaked, trying to keep her fear at bay. "We're almost there," James assured her, but doubt crept in. They were closer to the unknown than ever, and the shadows they ran from seemed to follow. Inside the darkness, the path twisted like the fear coiling in his stomach. Could they really escape whatever was coming? What awaited them at the end? As they reached the basement door, a shout erupted from above. The voice sent chills down his spine. The hunt had begun. "Go!" he barked, pushing Lily and Fiona ahead of him. Would running into the darkness be the answer? Would they find safety, or would the shadows swallow them whole? His heart pounded against his ribcage. The choice was made, but the struggle was just beginning. The basement door creaked as they pushed it open, the darkness swallowing them whole. The air was musty and damp, carrying the scent of earth and mold. James switched on his phone's flashlight, the beam cutting through the oppressive blackness, revealing stone walls and a floor littered with debris. "Stay close," he urged, his voice low and steady, trying to mask the fear tinging his words. Lily clutched his side, her small frame trembling as the space around them seemed to close in. Fiona led the way, moving cautiously down the narrow staircase that led deeper into the basement. Each step felt heavy, like they were descending into a place where even the light dared not linger. "What if they find us?" Lily whispered, her voice quivering. "They won't," James said, though uncertainty gnawed at him. He felt trapped between false hope and the chilling reality closing in around them. He wanted to believe his words, to reassure her that everything would turn out fine, but doubt lingered as thick as the darkness. Fiona paused at the bottom, her breath catching in her throat. "It's not just about hiding," she said, concern etched on her face. "We can't stay here forever. We need a plan." James nodded, instinctively drawing Lily closer to him. "We'll figure something out," he promised. "I won't let anything happen to you." But in the depth of his heart, he questioned how long they could truly stay hidden. What if whoever was out there in the forest were to find them? What if they were too late? Each thought wrapped around him like vine choking a tree, leaving little space for optimism. Fiona took a deep breath and set her shoulders back. "Listen, James, we need to talk about your work." The words sliced through the tension. "This isn't the time." he snapped, frustration boiling underneath. "We need to focus on keeping Lily safe." Her eyes widened, then softened. "Your decisions are more than just yours now, they affect us all. It's important." James ran a hand through his hair, feeling the weight of the world pressing down on him. "You don't understand, I do understand. More than you think," she insisted, a firmness creeping into her tone. "What you've gotten involved in, it's dangerous. We can't ignore it." Their argument was interrupted by the faint sounds of footsteps above, heavy boots thudding ominously. James's heart raced again. They had to move. Over there, Fiona pointed to a corner where shadows cloaked a set of old chairs and boxes. "We can hide behind those until the coast is clear." James hesitated just a moment longer, locking eyes with Lily. Her innocence was a heavy reminder of the stakes. Clenching his jaw, he pulled her along, guiding Fiona as they squeezed into the cramped space obscured by the boxes. They huddled together, James wrapping an arm around Lily as he tried to calm her shivers. "It's okay, sweetheart," he whispered. "It's okay." The quiet encased them, the footsteps above fading for a brief moment. James felt the fear almost choking him, but he willed himself to be strong for Lily. Then came the distant sound of a door creaking open, followed by hushed voices. "They're here," Fiona breathed, eyes wide. James's pulse quickened. The tension was like a taut string about to snap. What would they do if they were found? He could hear bits of their conversation, muffled but laced with tension. They were looking for someone looking for him. What had he done to pull his family into this danger? "James," Fiona murmured, "we need to make a move." He nodded, feeling the heat of her gaze and the weight of responsibility pressing on his chest. Just then, a loud crash echoed above, sending tremors through the floor. Everything shook, and so did his resolve. "Now!" James shouted, as he pushed Lily and Fiona ahead of him, desperation fueling his movements. Could they escape whatever was looming over them, or was the hunt just beginning? With adrenaline racing through him, James felt one truth carve itself into his mind. There was no turning back now. What awaited them outside? Could they outsmart those following them? James pushed the girls out from their hiding spot, his heart pounding louder than ever. The sound of the crash had shaken the foundation beneath him, filled him with dread. He could hear the voices above growing more animated, growing closer. "Quick!" he instructed, urging Lily and Fiona to keep moving. They darted away from the makeshift hiding place, navigating through the clutter scattered around the basement. Shadows loomed large as they skittered past broken furniture and old wooden crates, the air thick with anxiety. "Where are we going?" Lily whispered, panic creeping into her voice again. "Anywhere but here," James replied, his own nerves frayed. He had to keep it together. They needed a plan, but in that moment, survival was all that mattered. Fiona scanned the room, her gaze darting from one corner to another. "There might be another exit," she said, hope surfacing in her tone. "Let us find it." Fast, James urged, gripping Lilia's hand. He could feel the warmth and fragility of her grasp, a tether to keep his sanity. If they could just find a way out. Suddenly, Fiona stumbled upon a dusty door embedded in the wall, almost hidden from view. "Here! Let us try this!" she called out, rushing towards it. James felt a glimmer of hope spark inside him. "Okay, let us go!" He moved closer, relief washing over him temporarily. But just as they reached the door, the voices above grew louder. One stood out, authoritative and menacing. "We know you're down there. This is your only chance to come out." James felt bile rise in his throat. It was too late for hesitation now. "Fiona, push it open." The door was old, rusty, the handle creaking under the pressure. But with a heave, they managed to pry it open. It led to a narrow, dark passageway that twisted into even deeper shadows. Fiona took a step in and turned back, eyes wide. It's dark. What if it's a dead end? Better than waiting here, James insisted, glancing back one last time at the room they'd just fled. They couldn't afford to think about the dangers behind them. Lily squeezed his hand a little tighter. I'm scared. I know. I am too, he admitted, his voice soft. But we're together. We'll get through this. They slipped into the passage, the door creaking ominously behind them, as they took tentative steps forward, every sound amplified in the suffocating darkness. James felt every thud of his heart echoed by the silence of the space around them. Fiona led the way, her phone flashlight illuminating bits of the tunnel. It was damp and cold, whispers of moisture clinging to the air. They pressed on, the walls closing in, each step feeling weightier as darkness surrounded them. I can't see anything, Lily whimpered, and the vulnerability in her tone made James's chest tighten. Just keep walking. Stay close, he urged, fighting to keep his voice steady. He couldn't let her sense his fear. Not now, when they needed each other most. As they moved further into the passage, the heavy atmosphere began to shift slightly. A faint shimmer caught James's eye along the walls. It felt almost like a promise. Wait, look, he said, directing the beam of the flashlight toward the glimmer. Fiona leaned closer, squinting in the dim light. Is that? Maybe it leads somewhere, James said, hope flickering in his gut. But just as they approached, the sound of heavy footsteps echoed in the distance. The voices were growing louder, urgency lacing their tones. Go! We can't be caught! Fiona urged, and they pushed forward, the glimmer drawing them toward what they hoped would be freedom. With every hurried step, James felt the weight of their escape heavy on his shoulders. But as he moved, he couldn't shake the sensation that something more awaited them at the end of this dark path, a truth that could change everything. What revelation lay ahead, and would it offer the safety they so desperately sought, or would it mark the beginning of their greatest fears? James led the girls deeper into the passage, each step birthing new fears and fading hopes. The air grew colder, the dampness seeping into their skin. He glanced over at Fiona, whose brow was furrowed in concentration, and then to Lily, whose wide eyes shimmered with unshed tears. He wished he could wipe away her fear as easily as brushing away dust from an old photo. Keep moving, he reminded them, though his own doubts lurked at the edges of his mind. Every creak of the floor beneath their feet made him flinch. What if they were trapped? What if the voices above caught up to them? But just ahead, the glimmer they had seen earlier drew him closer. It pulsed softly, almost like a heart beating in unison with his own. As they approached, it became clearer, a small crack in the wall where light seeped through, a promise of something beyond the darkness. James, look, Fiona pointed. That light, it might be another exit. Let us see if we can break through, he said, determination hardening his voice. He reached out, feeling around the edges of the crack. It was tight, but there was space enough for them to squeeze through if they tried hard enough. Here, I'll go first, James suggested. The urgency drove him onward. He pushed hard against the wall, trying to widen the crack just enough for his shoulder to fit. As he wedged through, his heart pounded louder than ever. He could hear the voices growing nearer, as if they were angry predators closing in on their prey. Go! I'll follow, he shouted back, urging the girls. He didn't have time to think about the implications of what lay in the light, or if it was worth the risk. He just felt compelled to protect them. Lily followed after him, squeezing through quickly while Fiona held back. What if it's a trap? She asked, hesitant. Trust me, Fiona. Just come, James called, the panic rising in his chest. With one last determined push, Fiona maneuvered through, her unwavering trust in him sparking a flicker of hope. The light engulfed them like a warm hug, bright and blinding. James stumbled into a small chamber filled with tattered sheets and remnants of forgotten memories. They had emerged into what seemed to be an old storage room, sunlight filtering through dirty windows, illuminating dust motes like tiny stars. "Are we safe?" Lily asked, hope tinging her voice. "For now." "I think so," he replied, turning to find a door at the far end of the room. It was ajar, revealing a glimpse of freedom. But even as he felt relief wash over him, the distant echoes of heavy footsteps and angry shouts reminded him their escape wasn't secured yet. "Come on," he urged, racing toward the door. As they neared, his heart sank as he noticed fresh scuff marks on the floor around it, signs of recent use. "What if they're still here?" Fiona whispered, the fear evident in her tone. James paused, weighing their options. "We have to take the chance." "It's better than going back," he insisted, though doubt clung to the edges of his voice. With a deep breath, he pushed the door open, revealing a narrow hallway ahead, precarious and silent. It felt like stepping into an unknown world, filled with possibilities and dangers all rolled into one. What if it leads to nowhere? Fiona's voice trembled, a reflection of what they were all feeling. "It has to lead somewhere, or we wouldn't be here," James replied, determination pushing him forward. Each step into that hallway felt like walking on fragile glass. But again, that unsettling sensation nagged him, the idea that they might encounter even greater horrors ahead. Echoes of uncertainty wove through his thoughts. What awaited them at the end was just an escape. It could unveil truths they weren't ready to face. As they ventured down the corridor, James could feel their breaths hitching in unison, anxiety swirling in the air like a storm about to break. What lay at the end of the hall? Would it offer the answers they desperately craved, or would it plunge them into even deeper chaos? As James stepped cautiously down the narrow hallway, the weight of uncertainty pressed heavily on his shoulders. A flickering light bulb swung overhead, casting dancing shadows that felt alive in the tension-filled space. He knew they couldn't afford to linger. Lily's small hand remained tightly clutched in his, a beacon of innocence shining against the ominous reality around them. "Keep going," he whispered softly, a firm resolve lacing his tone. He felt a deep urge to protect her, his instincts honed from the tumultuous events that had enveloped their lives. Behind him, Fiona followed closely, her expression a mix of anxiety and determination. Every creak of the floorboards beneath their feet echoed like a warning. "Do you think they've caught up?" Lily questioned, her voice barely above a breath, fear brimming in her wide eyes. "No," he said, trying to instill confidence as he turned to look at her. "Not if we keep moving. We're almost there." And though James hoped what lay ahead would be the escape they longed for, doubt flickered in the back of his mind. Each step took them deeper into the unknown. Finally, they reached the end of the hallway, and James pushed open a heavy door, the chill of the air inside striking them like ice. As they entered, they found an old supply room, cluttered with forgotten relics of the past. Dust floated in the dim light, and the musty smell of abandonment filled their lungs. "We need to find a way out," James urged, scanning the room. There were windows, but they were boarded up. They had to keep searching. Fiona stepped to one side, pushing aside some boxes and peering behind them. "What about this?" she called out, excitement palpable in her voice as she pointed towards a hatch leading upward. "Let us check it," James said, letting go of Lily's hand just long enough to climb toward the hatch. He felt a rush of hope, a chance for freedom, a way to escape not just the physical threats, but the burdens of the past. Lily's voice rang out with conviction. "I want to help." She grabbed a box and handed it up to him, her spirit unwavering. "Good thinking, Lil." James smiled, fighting back the fear threatening to cloud his judgment. As he lifted the box to the hatch and set it down, he carefully pulled the handle and swung it open, revealing a darkened space above. "After you, Dad," Lily urged, her eyes sparkling with bravery. "Stay close, both of you," he reminded them. As they shimmied up through the hatch, a rush of adrenaline fueled him. They climbed carefully, James first, followed by Fiona and finally Lily, who squeezed through with the determination of a fierce little warrior. When they finally emerged, they found themselves atop the building, under an open sky. The night had lost its ominous weight, and stars twinkled overhead like unexpected miracles. "Look at that!" Lily exclaimed, bouncing on her toes as she gazed at the glittering sky. For a moment, hope radiated from her, bridging the gaps where despair had lingered. But as joy filled his daughter's face, persistent shadows still haunted James's heart. The danger was just external, it whispered in his mind. As they took in their surroundings, waving whispering trees reminded him that they were still being hunted. "We need to keep moving now," he urged, nudging them back into action. They skittered away from the edges, the stars fading behind the dark outline of the building as they navigated towards what they hoped was freedom. As they reached the overgrown pathway leading to the other side, James turned, glancing back toward the roof. "What if they come after us?" he whispered to Fiona, urgency tightening his chest. "They won't find us up there, at least not for a while," she reassured him, though her gaze betrayed lingering fear. "But we have to keep moving and stay strong. You have to confront this head-on." He nodded, and together they pushed through the brush, the soothing rustle of leaves reassuring them that they were still connected to the world beyond their turmoil. The weight of the past hung like a shroud, but just as James began to give in to despair, he felt Lily's gentle touch on his arm. "Dad, we're a team. Remember?" Her words were a lifeline pulling him back to the present, and with that, he realized their fight was not just for survival anymore, it was to reclaim everything they had lost and everything they could be. "Right," he said, squaring his shoulders. "Whatever lies ahead, we'll face it together. You and me, Lil. Always." As they pressed onward into the night, James felt a flicker of resilience ignite within him. They could rebuild their lives, move past the shadows, and write the next chapter. That night, amidst fear, uncertainty, and hidden courage, they would rise together through whatever storm awaited them. And with that thought, he took a deep breath, steeling himself for whatever lay ahead. He was ready to defend what truly mattered: the light of hope, the music of laughter, and his unwavering love for his daughter. Yes, together, they would dance through this life. The shadows may always linger, but James Harrington and his warrior daughter, Lily, were determined to shine brighter. Now is the moment for you to take action. You need to subscribe now to ensure you don't miss the next exclusive stories filled with hope and transformation. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and help others find this journey. Your support means everything. Share instantly with at least 5 friends who need to see this powerful transformation. Don't wait not even one more second. True fans understand the importance of being part of this amazing journey.